In this video, we're going to be looking at what I worked on in lab this week, getting our upload resize ready for project 2. So for this, I'm using upload resize and do upload resize, because really, these are the pages out of the assignment 9 that you really need to get your project up and running, because you're going to want to be able to have your full-sized image, your mid-sized image, and your thumbnail-sized image. So to start out here, we're going to look at our upload resize. And I'm going to go ahead and say before I get going into this that all of the code that I'm stealing and using, I am taking from our select page in assignment 6. So the first thing is we need to be able to access our database. So I went ahead and stole our includes for our open database connection. And then you can steal that very first SQL through your if-else statement, which is this one right here, from your select page. Once I did that, I changed the SQL to work for what we needed to for this form. So we're doing, in my case, I have select cat ID from users where username equals session user. So in the practice one that I did, I have when a person logs in, I create a session variable called user that's equal to their username. And then if I go ahead and pop over here, I can show you. Right now I have this image database, which is what I'm working on for my project 2, and I have 3 tables in here. The first is my users table, which has my primary unique ID key, my username and my password, which I check when my user logs in, and then this cat ID is category ID, and this doubles as 2 separate roles. The first is it's the role my user has, so it's either category 1 through 5 or it's super admin. And then inside of my category table, I have cat ID, cat name, and cat description. So cat ID is the category name. So if you look at what we already have for upload resize, we have furniture, fixtures, and accessories. That's what cat ID is. That's going to be changed, so instead of being hard-coded to being those 3 options, you're going to pull all of your category names from this table in the database. Then my cat name is it's the fancier version of the cat ID, so the cat ID doesn't have any spaces and the cat name does. And then the cat description is just a short phrase describing what's in the gallery. So if you go off of the example we already had, I could have furniture, and then this is an image database about furniture, and so on. And you can put all of them in there. So instead of just having the 3 hard-coded, we can add in as many as we want to, and it will pull each of those. And then I have my images table, which has my image ID, which it's not actually going to be a number. So one of the first times we use text as our primary key. We have our cat ID, which matches our cat ID in the category and users table. We have our image number, which is an integer, but will count up separately for each category. And then we have our image description, which is just a short description about what the image is that we're uploading. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to my users table and I'm finding the category ID that matches the username that's currently logged in. And so we'll use our result to run that, and then we have our if else is going to check and make sure that we're actually getting a result. And if we are, we should only be returning 1 result. So we have a variable for row that we write that's fetching our category ID and throwing it into an array, and we can just pull the option 0. So whatever the very first one is, if option 0 is equal to super admin, while that is equal, and I realize this isn't going to work because we have, no, it'll work. This isn't going to work. We need to come in here, and since I added super admin as a role, I can't actually pull cat ID because I'll end up with pulling super admin as a category that people could upload images to. So go ahead and come up here and copy this SQL down through row, and we'll place it in just after our while statement. And to make sure this doesn't get messed up, I'm going to change this to SQL2 and SQL2 result2 result2 num result2 num result2, and then I'll go ahead and I'll keep up. I'll just add a 2 to the end of each of these. And then down here, I'll do row 2 and row 2. You go ahead and I'm going to take all of that. I'm going to tab it in. So I clean this up just a little bit. Yours should look a lot cleaner than this, but this will do to get me through for now. And then what we need to do is change our SQL2. So in this case, we need to select our category ID from our categories table. We actually want cat ID and cat name, where we'll do cat ID equals, and I'm going to come up here we can use our row because we haven't, or we've pulled it from up here, so we'll do our $row, and that very first input, I've got one too many brackets. Okay, so what we're looking at is we come in, we check and see if our category ID, or we pull our category ID from our username, make sure we actually got a result, and we set our row equal to an array that contains that result. So if our row is our super admin, if that's true, then while our row is equal to super admin, we need to pull all 5 of our category options. So we'll select our category ID and name from, in this case it was my categories table, where my cat ID equals the row, which is our cat ID from our users table. So if all of that is true, we'll double check and make sure we actually get a result. Then we're going to do a second row, fetch an array. In this case, our array will have 5 results, and our while statement will walk us through each of those results. And then down below, we're escaping out of our PHP, and we only kept one of the options from our hard-coded. This used to be the furniture, fixtures, and accessories. I deleted fixtures and accessories, kept furniture, and then where this originally said furniture, I threw in the PHP to echo out and trim down to our cat ID. So the only value, this will pass through each of our values, and then same thing, but using cat name to get the more proper name. And so that'll print out all 5 options for our drop down. And then if we are not the super admin, then we don't need to use a second SQL2. We'll come in and we'll just use the same thing. We'll do else. We'll escape out of our PHP to use our option value that used to be furniture. And we can just pull whatever category our user's role is set to. This way, when you go to do your upload, if your user is a super admin, they can pull down the drop down and select from any of the 5 categories. If they are only, say, category 2, then only category 2 is available to upload to. And then the last thing we're doing on this page is we originally just had this user file. We made a copy of that and threw it up above. And I changed the title, for, name, and ID all to description. Changed the file type, or for the input type from file to text. And I added a max length of 100. So this one should be good to go. And then over on the do upload resize, same thing. I actually didn't copy it over. So I need my open database connection. So I'll go ahead and copy that now. We need this up here at the top. And you can do this just right after your session start or set time limit. And we're going to use that same SQL through if-else statement. And in this case, our SQL, we're going to do select max. And this is a new one that we haven't used yet. And I'm doing that image number. And I'm going to go ahead and use an alias and say as maxNum from my images table, where my category ID equals this posted category ID from the previous page. So I'll go ahead and run my results and then check to see if that exists. And what was originally inside of our if and else statements, I've deleted and replaced. So we're checking if we don't get a result back, and this is the very first image uploaded to that category. So we're going to set this next num equal to 1. And that's a new variable we're adding in here. Else, we need to go ahead and find our highest number, and this we're going to do our row equal to the fetch array. And then we're going to write our next num variable and set it equal to the result of that fetch array. And then we're going to increment it, because when you do the fetch array, you're getting whatever the highest number is. So if you don't increment it, you're just going to keep overwriting whatever the final image uploaded to your database was. Then the next change is originally here we had that $ counter equal to, I think it was 84. We had that hard coded in. So you can go ahead and delete that. And then the next 2 lines both had $ counter, and we replaced it with our next num from up above. So this is where we set our file upload and setting our file name. And we originally set it equal to that 84. Now it'll actually increment every time we upload an image, and it will append the image number to the end of our file name. And the last thing you can do is down here, right before we do our resize image code, so you'll see there's the bookend for the resize image, we're going to do this SQL2, and it's going to be our insert, so that whenever this is run and it uploads a file to your uploads, mid, and thumbnail folders, it also uploads the name of the file, the image number, and the description up to the database. So what we have, or what I had, was insert into my images, my image ID, my cat ID, my image number, and my image description. I don't have my capitals right here. And then for the values I did for this, when you go to do it, your image ID, which is our primary key for the table, is going to be the file name. So you can just pull, you'll make sure you do the new file name from right up here. And you can do that because since every time you upload an image, you are incrementing the image number for that category, every file name is unique. So you can use that as your primary key for your table. So we will upload our new file name, and then for my category ID, so that it's the same between all three tables, I'm just pulling that same posted category ID from the previous page. And then for my image number, that is the next num that we created up at the top when checking to see if it was in the table. And then for my image description, I'm just pulling the posted description from the previous page. And then you need your result to run your MySQL query and actually insert it into the table. And that was it for these two pages. I will post another video that will very quickly show how to delete an image from your folders and just the very, very basic PHP gallery that if you're having trouble getting started, you can use, and then add whatever you need to actually make it look good and to perform how you want it to for your project.